This shows that the present work is rooted in history of knowledge provided by early scholars, which provides the link for the linguistic and stylistic analysis with phonetic, phonological, lexical, and stylistic studies. The letter Noon has a long vowel oo, which is significant as it provides length and strength to the statement and makes the statement melodic as well as strong. The melody in the letter Noon, the nasal consonant na, and the long vowel oo are known as highly resonant sounds. This means that their presence in text makes it listener friendly, who is amused by the presence of close back vowel rhyme repeated in the surah. This surah is an early Meccan and revealed during the strict opposition period when the audience refused to listen to the Prophet and accused him of lunacy that ached his heart. We all know that the Quran is a book of nasiha, guidance, reminding which requires better understanding. If we look at this surah, we find there are different aspects which don't seem to hang together. For example, initially the surah talks about the Prophet as being the best of people as against the accusations of the adversaries. Then there is the reference to a man who is of the meanest kind. There is also the story of the gardeners who would like to exclusively reap the fruit of their garden and are punished for shunning their doors on the poor. Then there is reference to Prophet Yunus alayhi salam, and finally there is the talk of those who fail to bow in this world would fail to bow in the hereafter. The disbelievers would be asked to prostrate and they will try but wouldn't. Ultimately, with the closing statement, that is the reminder for the worlds, and you are not mad, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. So one may ask, what is the connection? The connection is clear. It is true that Allah is so kind that whatever level of understanding we possess about the Holy Quran, we are rewarded. However, there is also the verse, don't they ponder over the Quran, or their hearts are locked? This encourages and prompts to ponder. So the aim is to attempt to ponder over the subject of this surah and attempt to see connections and relations to arrive at the basic message of this chapter. What is the procedure? We study the context of the surah. We study the letter Noon, its phonemes, its morphemes, word value, different meanings and connotations. Various points in the surah are studied to find unity of theme. And the context of the surah says that it is the earliest Meccan period chapter, and it is second in revelation, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam faced the sufferings of opposition from Meccan Quraysh to the extent that his life was made miserable. They rejected him as a prophet and called him different names such as poet, lunatic, soothsayer, etc. All this sadly affected the Prophet, who was never prepared to meet this kind of reaction. The surah needs to be read in this context. With this basic understanding, we may move on to analyze the Surah Al Qalam. Let us begin with the first connotation that begins to have connections with the overall message of the Quran, but especially with the message of this surah. Known by the pen and that with which they write. No need to remind the readers that knowledge is the aim of all prophets. The prophets bring humanity out of darkness to light through knowledge. Pen is the symbol of knowledge. Also, no need to remind the readers that knowledge has a direct link with arrogance, just as wealth and manpower. This provides the basic link between all the different anecdotes and aspects discussed in the surah. Thus, the surah begins with the contextual issue of the addressees of the Prophet, calling him with various names such as poet, lunatic, soothsayer, which was highly torturing for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These accusations have been rejected in the second and third verse. Thou art not for thy Lord's favor unto thee a madman, and lo, thine verily will be a reward unfailing. You are on the highest level of morality, and lo, thine verily will be a reward, and lo, thou art of a tremendous nature, and thou wilt see, and they will see, which of you is the demented. Lo, thy Lord is best aware of him who strays from his way, and he is best aware of those who walk aright. Therefore, obey not those, the rejectors, who would have had thee compromise, that they may compromise. The next 10 verses make a smooth transition to a specific character who, because of his wealth and manpower, has grown arrogant. And this is related to the second point, the nose. Neither obey those, each feeble oath-monger, detractor, spreader abroad of slanders, hinderer of the good, transgressor, malefactor, greedy, therewithal intrusive. It is because he is possessed of wealth and children that when our revelations are recited to him, he said, mere fables of the man of old. We shall brand him on the nose. Now this is very interesting. We shall brand him on the nose. As I said, that this noon is related to the nose, and this verse 16 says, we shall brand him on the nose. And this nose has become so long that it has become khartoum. Khartoum means long nose, snout. So we shall brand him on the snout. See the relationship? According to Jalalain, the same person was cut on the nose in the Battle of Badr. This is a very interesting study. From verse 17 to 33, there is the anecdote of the gardeners who took no exception about their actions and saw the downtrodden, unwealthy, needy as a threat to their wealth. Another form of arrogance. Another form of arrogance is wealth. People who had a garden and they wanted to reap the fruit of their garden in the absence of the poor, so that they may not take from their wealth. So Allah doesn't like this again. And this has been told from 17 verse onward until 23. So they wanted that no needy man shall ever enter in our garden. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a lesson. And they were doomed. And their doom was the loss of their wealth, their garden. So their arrogance was broken. You can see again the relation of the nose and the anecdote. So these verses talk of the general message of the Quran, and in 42 swiftly move to the inability of those who showed arrogance in this world. From verse number 32 to 42 towards sujood, they will not be able to do sajda, to prostrate, because they refuse to do so in this world. Those who say no to the teachings of God in this world would be deprived of any obedience in the hereafter. When all the believers would prostrate, the arrogant of this world would miss this chance. Or have they other gods?